Alright, let's start working on some details on this cabin. So let's select this top here, Q and F scroll, and we're going to grab this cutter and select these two edges, go back. And I want to bevel them ever so slightly. So, bevel and hold shift. You can see segments on the top. Maybe, I would say maybe 9 or 7. I don't want this bevel to be too big. Maybe 7 is enough. You can see segments here on the top when you bevel. And shift 2. I think this is good enough, I think this is good enough. And then we're gonna work on windows, but in order to do that, we need to apply everything. So click on a cabin, this one, and Q and smart apply, right? And then select this one and smart apply, and these ones too, okay? Smart apply. And also the door, so smart apply, okay? Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna grab these and we're going to insert them. So we could use Alt-M macro for this. So select this one and we're going to, in fact, you know what, let's select all of them because I want to have an equal offset in terms of inset. So I for inset, hold shift. And that's probably enough. You don't want to go too deep because you're going to be clamping the bevel, and the only way to fix this is with Mesh Machine. There's a tool called Unfuck, which is a fantastic name because it does exactly that. It unfucks your problem. Now wait a minute, why this one isn't offsetting? One more time, Alt-M macro. It works only on one mesh, fascinating. So here, Alt-M macro, move it in. Right, and you see that it kind of goes in at an angle. But if you're going to press, for example, E and cancel and Alt-S, it's going to do exactly the same thing. So it doesn't matter which way you're gonna go, you're gonna get the same result unless you put a cursor somewhere here behind and scale on the cursor, but this is too much work. So Q, Alt-M macro, and that's fine. And move it a little bit deeper so we have some, space to maneuver here. In fact, even deeper than this, somewhere here, okay? And then I'm going to select these faces again. You're gonna reselect them, and then we're gonna run the shift curve extract, okay? And make sure you're gonna leave a bit of a lip here, okay? And the same here. So let's grab these, and we can just press E for extrusion and shift curve extract, and again leave a bit of a space here, maybe a little bit more, solidify, and there we go. That's beautiful. Awesome. So we got a bit of a room there, and you can play with them a little bit later, maybe make some, covers here on top, whatnot, right? And we're gonna mirror this, so let's just nuke this, right? So L, just hover over and nuke it, select both here and mirror. And obviously this part doesn't matter because, because we have door here. Now this door, right? What I want to do first, I want to run kind of like a rim around it. So in order to do this, I'm going to Shift D this and go to local view. And in fact, what I could do now is just slice this, go here and in fact, probably remove this bevel here. So select this bevel, and I don't have a mesh machine here, but without it, just bottom it out. Yeah, we don't want bevels because they're gonna be causing problems. And here, Alt A and top, there we go. And we should be good to go. We could try running clean mesh. I think it's gonna be fine, yeah. And now we can basically move this here, right, and cut this. So I'm just gonna run a cut on it, like this, right? Just press W to turn off this wedge cut and Shift S and move cursor to, origin to geo. Now we need to apply this, so let's apply this. It's calculating this boolean still here being active. So now again, Shift S to geo, there we go. And then we're gonna select this face, right, all of them. And we're gonna insert this, right? So I for insert, boom, right? And it's gonna have a bit of an overlap on the bottom, but it's okay. We can simply, remove this edge here, right? So dissolve edge, if we can. Dissolve edge, there we go. All I care about is basically, this part. Now the same here, let's just, select everything, right? Everything, right? Just make sure it's everything selected and then insert it. There you go. And then we're going to select this edge here and then just Control+. and go to face mode and then shift click on curve extract to do that, right? And then we don't need this, so we can nuke this. So let's go back and let's see, that's cool. And let's run a bevel control and don't make it too large, but you know, you want to make it soft-ish. Now let's grab this door and let's apply this, right? Then Shift S and origin to geo. And we're gonna scale this door a little bit, okay? So just watch this door, yeah, scale it a bit here and a bit on the y-axis, just a tiny bit, yeah, but don't overdo it because you're gonna distort the bevel. And now what we're gonna do, we're gonna select this edge here around, so this one, right? If you have Mesh Machine, by the way, you can select through N-gons with one click. It's very useful. And then we're gonna bevel this with, I would say, actually let's apply scale first and then bevel again. With, I would say 9, you can see again on the top, you can see bevels, right? Maybe 9 bevels and create this kind of a situation, right? I think it's pretty cool. And this is still live, so if it's too thick, we can always go here and, you know, thin it out if it's too thick. And then we could add some details or whatnot. This one, I'm not sure if I want it to be a hatch. So let's make it smaller, as Shift Z and make it smaller. I want to move it up a little bit until it flexes. And then we're going to have to probably fix the bevel. So go to bevel and hold Alt and scroll your mouse until it clicks. Just, you know, the angle was a little bit too shallow. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a circle there. So watch. I want it to be a sort of like a dome, like a radar-ish thing. So let's go with 40 verts, change the verts here. And it's already created on a cursor, but if your cursor isn't here, before you create this circle, it's a good idea to, you know, move cursor to face, right? So then your circle is going to be created perfectly in the middle of this structure. And we're going to press F and we're going to, let's just insert it and move it up till it clicks, maybe like this. And I'm going to bevel this with maybe 12. Let me try this again, a little bit more aggressive. Let me see this. I think a bit deeper. So GZ, hang on. Let's try this one. This is better. And we can just scale it a little bit and, you know, drop it down a bit. And also, I think this is still too shallow, you know. I still want it to be deeper. Hang on, GZ, move it up. Let's try now. Oh, this one is better. Okay, now I like it. So now what we need to do is we need to apply scale just in case and also solidify it. So solidification, you can go whichever way you want, in or out. I'm gonna go inside. And now we're gonna cut this, yes? So, or in fact, we could apply solidification. Actually, let's make it less crazy. And what we could do is apply this. So operations multiply. Where is it? Operations multiply. And grab this lip here and drop it down. So Alt A on the bottom. Or you could just cut it, you know, that depends what you want to do. And then obviously bevel. And we should be fine, right? Let's go back. Let's see how we're looking. We're looking pretty good. Let's make it smaller. Or in fact, maybe bigger. You could also have 2 of these. Maybe a smaller is cool, you know, like this. And then drop it a little bit. Maybe lower like this. And you know what we could do? We could grab this one and run some bolts around it. So Q and asset loader. And let's get these screws and add insert and put it here on a flat surface, right? On the top. Scale it, obviously. Move it here on x-axis, and this is too big, right? So there you go, and you know, boom, right? And by the way, if you wanted to make it smoother, just run Ctrl+1 on it. We're not gonna be cutting it, so don't worry about it. Nuke all these mods here, and by the way, we don't need any of these mods. You can purge them, right? Gonna be a lot of stuff to purge. Watch. 13 or 18, whatever data blocks remove, right? So we nuked all the mods. And then grab this one and Let's apply scale, by the way, and then go to settings and not settings, mesh tools, and control click on radial, and boom. And you know, this many will do, and obviously we need to drop it down. So GZ, and you know, drop it down here on this mesh. Now, this is not really aligned properly, but you know, screws gonna be most likely at 90 degrees towards the ground, not diagonal, and kind of like slanted. So what we could do, go to edit mode, where's the screw here, and again we need to uncover everything. I mean, reveal all the hidden mesh, so Alt H. And we could grab this bottom part and simply extrude it down a bit, right? So these bolts kind of gonna go inside of the mesh, do you know what I mean? So GZ, and just, you know, drop them down, right? And they're gonna look really cool. And then just want a tiny bevel on them. I mean really tiny, right? Okay, don't overdo it. And then you go, and this one can go to cutters, right? So, you know, cutters, right? And then we can add some other elements on top of it, you know. And these could be actually, we applied this, right? I think, no, we didn't. So let's apply the top one. So Operation Smart Apply, and also let's, you know, power save because reasons. We could mirror this across. Also, this is a disgusting, you know, connection here. So let's go back in time before this is applied. There we go. And let's run a cut here. So let's grab it to local and K. Right, press A and just run a line here like this. And then when you apply this, by the way, we need weighted normals. You see this shading being wonky? Let's apply it. Boom, there you go. Well, we're going to apply the Smart Apply right now, right? So Smart Apply, you will see that the connection is going to be much cleaner here, right? So now we can actually grab this, press L, and then P and selection. So you're going to have this one selected, and then Shift S and Geo to select it, remove this one, come on, L, and remove it, and just simply mirror this to the other side, boom. So now we could have some fun, right? So we could grab this, move a cursor here to edge, select this one and grab, change this transformation pivot to cursor, and then RX, and just do this. I think it's gonna be pretty cool, there we go. Yeah, we could have some kind of vents in here, whatnot, you know what I mean? So this could be actually interesting, right? And we could cut them at the top if we wanted to. So we could just run a cut here like this, right? Just press W to turn off the wedge and do this. And then the bevel got messed up. So B1 to change the profile. We could make it, you know, the bevel much smaller. And now we have an auto smooth problem with this edge here, right? But what we could do is apply the modifier, right, and change the bevels to weight. Oh, and look, watch. Bevel got applied, you see this? You're gonna be really, this is really sneaky. You never know when it's gonna happen. I don't know why they can't fix this, man. Let's apply Boolean manually here. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna manually bevel this, okay, like this. And obviously not that many segments, maybe 7 is fine, okay? And I'm gonna nuke this one, I don't need it, right? So now what I can do is I can run, you know, kind of like a vent here, right? So let's go here to D, and let's just run a cut here like this. Turn off this rubbish line, and let's just run a cut, and press B for bevel, not X, V for array, and let's run 5. Okay, you don't want to run more than this. 5 is enough. Turn around and cut through. Shift click. Now, what you could do, this is a little bit of a trick I share with you. Watch this. What we could do is go to edit mode, select this one, and rotate it with control like this. And the entire array is going to shift, but it will not, because if you do it in object mode, this is going to happen. Do you see what I mean? But if you do it in edit mode, the transformation is not being affected. So you're rotating it and it stays true to its axis. So now we can move it backwards with shift, and we're gonna be able to create something like that, which is cool, okay? Let's move this here. So GY, and we're gonna actually move it deeper. So G, and let's just change the angle here to this one. So go here and click on the plus, and then G and Z, and drop it down here like that, okay? And let me see this. This looks pretty good. And what we need to do now is we need to run a line in the middle here, right? So, you know, click this, go to edit mode K, and just run a line here with A across to fix it. And I think it's going to be good. Now, I don't know if this is not too big. I think they're a bit too big. So recover the cutter and select it and maybe just scale it. We could press Alt S to scale it on its normals. But when you do this, you're going to be very careful with the bevel because now bevel is too big, okay? So let's actually make this bevel smaller. So bevel and make it smaller. And maybe 3 segments. And really small. Don't worry about the distortions of the mesh. Alt S and just scale it down. There you go. And then add some segments here. So bevel and add something. Apply the scale, okay? Boom. And how are we looking? Let me see this. This is much better, okay? So let's just have a scroll this. So let's fix the array. So move the array backwards and we can actually make 7 of them. So, you know, that many, right? I think it's gonna be fine. And let's go back. See, now that I like that one. This is really cool. Okay. And we could move them so they're not kind of, you know, even you can scale them on x-axis. Okay. So let's just turn off this custom axis. SX and scale them here. And we could move them here like this on the to the side. I think it's gonna be even more interesting. And then obviously we need to fix this line here because the line moved. I mean the cutters moved outside of this line, right? This one. So it's no longer affecting them. So GX and move it over here and you're gonna fix this. Boom, right? And let me see this now. Perfect, perfect. And you got problem with bevels here. Just make sure that the bevel is not overshooting on itself, like it is in the middle. You see in the middle here, in the side of the cut. You can always add additional bevel here on the top. So you could select this one separately and run a separate bevel here on the top. You know, it's fine. So, you know, do something like that here and just run a bevel here on top like that, right? And then recalculate sharpen and you're good to go. I don't know if this bevel is a bit too big though. Let me just make it a little bit smaller. Maybe something like this. And this one should go to the other side, I think, because what I want to do, right, is I want to add a ladder in here on this side, you know what I mean? So there's going to be kind of like a pull down ladder here or something, or maybe even in the back, and then ladder here on the side. So what we could do is we could borrow this, either borrow this edge here, so let's apply this, operations multiply, we could borrow this and run a ladder using that, or we could just create like a, you know, I think there might be a better idea. Okay, let's create kind of like a step thing. So let's grab a plane and move it in here. So let's just reset this cursor to origin and this one to cursor. Okay, so go to vert shift 1 and let's in fact no, let's nuke this one. So vertices, and then if you have an edge selected and you want to extrude it in a way to create kind of like a bracket, you want to press Alt D and you're gonna get this. So you see what's gonna happen is that, I don't know if you can see this, but it's gonna get pulled away from these verts because if you press extrude, this will happen, right? You're gonna be building a face. So Alt D is gonna extrude it from the line or from the edge and leave two points on sides, which is a really cool trick to know. Let's just scale this a bit and we're going to Shift Control B this, and I wanted this to be quite smooth, so but not too dense. And then we're going to let's actually run, yeah, let's run the mesh tools and curve extract. Press S, right? So visual to mesh, and then let's now run a loop here. And then what you want to do is Alt A and align it to the top so it's straight, and then move it here. And then you want another one here, right? Like this. And you want to mirror this across, right? Apply the mirror, multiply, and then you want to run Control 1. This loop is gonna hold the subdivision here and it will not distort this edge or angle. Now we want to cut this here like that. This freaking line is on. I don't know why it's turning itself off. I don't get it. And that will do. We don't have to solidify it, although we maybe should, you know, have an idea before we apply this subdivision. Let's just nuke this smooth biangle. Let's actually apply this. So smart apply. You can nuke this curve here. What is this here? Just press 3 to clean it. That didn't work. So let's nuke that. I don't know what the hell is this. What the fuck is this? What in the actual Let's nuke it. What the Shift 1. Click here and just press 4 with machine tools to fill this. I don't know what the hell happened, but that was weird. Let's mirror this and smart apply. Let's move a cursor here, Shift S into vert. Let's grab a cube and let's just scale this and create something like this. Where is it? Here, right? And what I want to do is I want to create some sort of like a, you know, like an attachment, some such. Let's just sharpen this and let's run a chamfer here or a bevel. Let's apply scale, by the way. Let's run a bevel is fine, I think. And we're gonna bevel this on top of that and mirror to the other side, and we can parent this together. Now this one we could, you know, go back to the control 1 situation when we apply the subdivision. So let's parent them together. So click on this, shift click on this, control P and parent, okay? And now we can move them together, all right? So now let's just scale this and move it here, right? GX, so let's grab our human, which is here, and then this is way too big, right? So let's just scale this, there we go, and actually this kind of makes sense. Let's grab all of them to local view. Let me see this. Wait. I said all of them. There we go. So now this is gonna move together, right? All right, so now how are we looking here? Is this a reasonable size? Yeah, that's fine, I think. Could be a little bit larger, but let's move it here and we're going to rotate it like this, right? And then a little bit more and put it in here. And I'm gonna grab this and I'm gonna be arraying this. I'm gonna do this manually. So, you know, one here, and Shift D here. And I'm going to rotate it again a little bit to fit that, you know, and one here. I don't even think I need this one in here, to be honest. I could use another one on the top, maybe, but I think 3 will do. You don't want to overdo this, you know. I think this is pretty cool. Also, this one is a bit too high, so let's go back. Yeah. Okay, one more time. So this one should be somewhere here. This one should be somewhere here. And this one should be somewhere here, and rotate it a little bit more. We could add another one, you know, I mean, just for shits and giggles here, right? Whoa. There we go. And, you know. Do you know what I mean? Something like that. Or even lower. I don't even know if we need this, to be honest, but, you know. Let me see this. Yeah, I don't think we need this. That kind of looks weird. Let's just nuke this. There we go. That's perfect. Okay, perfect. So let's, we don't need them anymore. So reference nuke him. Cool. Also, I was thinking about these and I don't like them. I'm going to be redoing them, okay? So I'm going to nuke them. And these could be way more interesting, just saying. We could run different cables in here. Same in here, you know, we could have some cableage over there. And also this one could be a bit deeper. So let's just apply this. And just move it deeper. So, you know, somewhere here. And I think it's going to be fine. Okay, and we could have some some stuff going on over there. Even we could borrow these, Shift Z, Shift Z, move them here, unarray this, so just nuke the array, and we could have these containers running over there, so GZ, drop it on the floor, and then let's just go to local view. What I'm thinking here is do something like this. In fact, go from the bottom. Well, come on. Just turn off. When you're running a box cutter in the edit mode, be careful. And by the way, also in 4.3, you can press T to open all the panels depending where you are. This could be a little bit confusing. So when you're here on this side, make sure that when you're in edit mode, turn off box cutter, because it could be causing some grief occasionally. Let's just do this and shift curve extract like that, okay? And I think this is gonna be pretty cool. Control click on bevel. I mean, you're not gonna be able to see this anyway, but you know, whatever. And we could create some kind of an interest here, right? Altium macro, do you know what I mean? That's pretty cool. And bevel this too, and then move this inside, you know, so here, G, Shift Z, move it in here, and then simply mirror across the mesh. And, whoa, that's not in the middle, actually. This one is not in the middle. Do you see what I mean? That's not in the middle. Much fascinate. So what we need to do is Shift D to geometry, move the cursor here, select all of these, right? Shift select this one and parent it together to this one. Object skip transform, and then let's move origin to geometry, and then let's Shift S to cursor, and then we're gonna move it outside here, so it's gonna be in the middle. Okay, now it's in the middle. So G and drop it down here. Perfect. And now we can move these canisters a bit inside so they're gonna fit. Right. This structure here could be actually bullioning inside. So Shift D this, make this larger, and turn off the bevel if you have any. Smooth by angle. Actually, smooth by angle should stay. And difference this, right? So now we got this opening here, although this opening could be a little bit better. I wonder if this shouldn't be actually running here, you know, like this here. It's gonna cause less grief. Hang on, let me nuke this boolean. I have an idea. Let's grab this, right? Let's rip this off. So Q curve extract and just nuke this rubbish. Move it to, actually, this can be a cutter. So extract this and select this face. And select up to here and also up to here, and then Alt A and do this, right? Now let's clean this rubbish. So clean mesh, and then we're gonna boolean this, okay? So difference, right? There we go, and it goes all the way to the back, and it's actually flipping geometry here a little bit. So we're gonna have to fix this. Also, this is a bit too close to the edge, so let's move both of them a bit more to the middle, right? So somewhere here, and it's gonna be good. Now these obviously have to move as well, right? And there you go. Okay, so that's that. And then let's grab this one, operations multiply, and we're gonna have to flip the normals because they messed up here. See that? So recalculate outside, and you're good to go. And you got this kind of an opening there, which makes a little bit more sense. It's more structurally sound, if you know what I mean. Okay. All right, all right, all right. Now these gonna have, they're gonna need some flaps on top, because when it's raining, it's going to mess things up. So let's control click on curve extract. Let's notch these and fill them up, right, like that, and then move them up a little bit here. Okay, and so we go into Shift S into Geo. I rotate them a little bit like this. Actually, not all of them. Hang on. Let me apply this. Multiply. And we're gonna move only to, whoa, Jesus, let's clean the geometry. Holy shit, clean mesh, there we go. They're way too dense. I mean, way too dense. That's insanity. But there you go. Well, it's okay. Let's just leave them. Select these two and, and we're going to rotate them in edit mode like this. Okay, so let's move them here in edit mode. So it's still one object, you know what I mean? So you got this, which is pretty cool. And one of them is going to be closed, whatever. And then we can just, add some pivot points in here, rotation, whatever. You can borrow this one, right? So Shift D. Did I borrow it? Where is it? Come on. Okay, Shift D, go to the top, nuke the mirror, and unparent this. So clear parent, keep transform, and we could move it in here and create a pivot point, right? I mean, it's a really tiny detail, but if you really want to be pedantic, and thorough, that's how we're gonna do this, right? So go here and just array this on X. Boom, right? And there you go. And that makes sense to me now, right? So if you want to make it smaller, go to edit mode and just make it smaller. So it kind of, fits. But I think larger is fine. Just make it, drop it down a bit so it kind of fits here. But right, it's just a little bit of a detail, but I think it's fun. Cool. So let's save it. Now here in the top, I would like some kind of, like a roofing or some such. So let's grab an edge here. Maybe this one. And Shift D that and just scale it and move it. Oh, that's too big. Move it forward here somewhere like that. And we're going to go to edit view and selection. So it's going to be its own selection. Shift S to geo. And now let's combine them with F. Select everything F to fill it with face, and let's just solidify it. Operation and solidify. In fact, before we do that, let's apply scale and solidify it up. Okay. And now let's grab an end gun. So let's in fact cut this one here like this. And let's see. This is kind of cool. Should be lower somewhere here. I would wager. Maybe less solidified. Modifier solidification, maybe a little bit less. And also fix the bevel, +1, there we go. And then we can have some, we can have some fun. So we could cut this here like this. Let me see this. Does it look cool? Might actually look cool. Mirror this. Let me see this. No, better idea. I might actually do this. Is it not too big? Do you know what I mean? Skeleton X a bit. And then recover this, recover this cutter. And move it somewhere here. Or maybe that's fine. Actually, this one is pretty cool. Let me just fix this bevel again. There we go. And let's grab this cutter and make it taller so it doesn't cause any grief. And also, I wonder if this shouldn't be actually thicker. Not this one, this one. Do you know what I mean? No, that's too crazy. This is fine. And then we can, we can play with this. So we can just run some cuts on top of this. Right. Let's recover this modifier. And let's press G, Y, and hold Control. And we're gonna move it backwards. So you don't want to do anything on bevel. So when you go here to wireframe, you don't want to encroach on bevels here, right? You really don't want to mess with bevels because it's you're gonna have a bad day. It's not CAD, remember, yes, so, you know, in CAD software, things looking a bit different, but in here, you know, it is what it is, right? So we could have some cuts here as well to make this more interesting. I wonder if circular cuts wouldn't be a good idea, how, you know, in this case. So let's go to object view and run the cut here. I think this is pretty cool. And then what we could do is run a cut in the middle here like this, okay? To an extent. So let's just apply this and SY and dig deeper. And this is a little bit too thick. I mean, too, and this could be towards the top. See here like that. I think this is pretty cool. It looks really nice. Gives this kind of like a, you know, eyebrows. You know what I mean? Then the windows. If you know gonna start running details here and there, we should start definitely playing with this fucking line, bro. Playing with, you know, notches here and there. So ever scroll and I mean not ever, actually, yeah, ever scroll and then, you know, array this down. So on x-axis, which in our case will not work because this is gonna happen, right? So what we will need to do, go back, we will need to align this here. So instead of orthographic view cuts, you want to run it like this, because then the cut's gonna get aligned to the normal sort of face, and then you can run array down, you see? Boom, you see what I mean? So that will work. And then obviously weighted normals. Now here we could do something different. We could have some, you know, like maybe cuts on the bottom like this. I think it's gonna look pretty cool. And then obviously ever scroll and shift dy, move it in here and just repeat it more or less. I think it's gonna look pretty cool. You're gonna get some, you know, breakages of what I call them. Yeah, that looks, actually this doesn't fit. The one on the top looks badass, but this one doesn't fit. Let me see here. I'm wondering if two small cuts like this wouldn't be a better. What is with this fucking line, man? It's really annoying. I think that's cool. I think that's cool. This one is like when you cut something, it creates like a ambient occlusion, creates detail on its own, the shadow, which is really cool. Here in the bottom, we could have some, like a grate or whatnot, and like an engine, kind of a sort of a cover or whatnot. This is already applied, but what we could do is, you know, actually it's not applied yet. Look at this. Hang on a second. How is this not applied yet? Oh, it's a bottom part. Genius. Because it's a slash, we can see the entire shape. That's genius. That's what I want. Because we need to nuke the bevel. So let's select this, right? Control click on curve extract. Let's just nuke this here. And I need to fix this, you know, I need to fix it. So we need to run a straight edge here. So let's select this entire edge up to here, Alt A and top. And then we're going to mirror this to the other side. And then we're going to apply this. So operations multiply and clean it. So, you know, operations and clean mesh, which is going to clean our bullshit. Then we need to fill these. So just bring them down basically like this, right? Okay. And then press 3 to clean it. Then we're going to bevel this. In fact, we gotta be careful here with this one though. This bevel cannot be too deep, so 9 segments is more than enough. And then what we can do, we can run a solidify on it. So let's apply scale, right? And then let's run a solidification. So let me see this solidify here, boom, going down like this, right? And then we're going to bevel this here. So control click on bevel, there we go. And this will cover the front. But now what we can do, we can run some, you know, some grates or whatnot in it. So here we can go to, this should be solidified a little bit less. This is too thick. Okay, let's just, you know, this is too crazy. This will do. In fact, we could go both ways, so like press 2, right? I think it's gonna be better. So now let's go to cut and, you know, run a cut here like this. Press V, and you wanna do this, right, on one side, and the same thing on the other. So, you know, simply array this and weight the normals, and let's see how we're looking. Yeah, see, now we're looking cool. Now we need to bring them closer. So if I scroll and GX and move them closer together here, so we can actually see them, you know what I mean? This could be a little bit thicker though. We can still adjust it because, you know, in solidification mode, so we could do something like this. I think it's gonna look better. Yeah, there you go. Even more, you know, even more. So, boom, right? And there you go. There you go. I think this is cool. I think this is cool. Also, this thing could be on both sides. Let's just flip this. Okay, Shift D, Alt X, and then let's go to Flip Mirror, right? Where is it? Flip this thing. Okay, let's grab this to local view. Okay, and let's nuke this R because it's a mirror. Then Alt X and flip it. Okay, and then bring it, you know, bring it here. So grab that, right? GX and move it in here. Okay, so we don't have a problem, and we can make this smaller and kind of fit this cable here. See what I mean? So we could move this cable in order to fit this. Boom, right? There we go. Okay, it's gonna look pretty cool. And then mirror across. Let's reset the mirror, and that will not work because this one is in the middle. Hang on. So these two are not in the middle? Why does it mirror in a weird way? Hang on, what's going on here? There we go. That was strange. Maybe the origin point here is not in the middle. Ah, yeah, see, that's the problem. It's not in the middle. So Shift S and 2 Geo, boom. Yeah, you gotta be very careful with origin points because if they're not in a, you know, in the middle, this will not work. Also, this one now looks a bit weird, so we want to move it somewhere here and we want to cut it, right? So let's go to the top view and we're going to slice this here and also slice this here. And let's go back. How are we looking? That looks better, but now we need to recover this cutter on this and reduce the array and move it deeper here like this so it doesn't interfere with this one. There we go. Now it makes sense. Because you see, I don't want it to, you know, I don't want it to be too deep, you know what I mean? Because it's not going to make any sense. In fact, we could grab all three, go to local view, and we could do this. So grab this cutter, and then, you know, GY and hold control and do this, right? And then we can cut this one here. Boom, right? Let's go back. That's better, okay? Makes more sense now. Peachy. So now let's grab this and go to local. And what I want to do here is I want to add some bolts, yeah? So Shift S and 2 selected. Let's save it. This is going to be the last thing we're going to be doing here because this video is long enough. But, you know, I could go for, like I said, I could go for hours, man. I just love this. You know, it's my element. Let's create some bolts, and we could array it around the curve, you know what I mean? So watch this. We could grab this this edge here from the middle, and we could convert it to curve, right? So Q, and then this one, curve extract, and then press X, okay? And you're gonna have a curve here. Do you know what I mean? So now, what we can do, we can move this bugger here, right? We could array this. So let's just apply rotation, right? And apply scale, and we're gonna run an array to the top, right? Like this. Now, before we do anything, I would make sure that these bolts don't go down here. We could run them down here, but you know, we can do this manually, I think. So what I would do is just grab this curve. Where is it? And this one, go to local view twice, yeah. Go here and let's just nuke this, you know, this one, okay? Let's just, you know, nuke the verts here. And there you go. And then click this one, shift click this one, go to hard ops, yeah. If you don't see my panel, just, you know, look at the top. I'm in hard ops right now, okay? And click on the curve, all right? And then choose the right, you know, the correct axis, but it's turned around. So let's just select this one, RZ180. There we go. And then when you're gonna be arraying this, so you can just add more of them here. Boom, right? It's too many, to be honest. So maybe add that many. Just GZ and move them more or less, right? And let's go back, and there should be perfectly arrayed around this. There you go. And then you just simply apply it. So, you know, operations multiply, and you can remove this curve, and then you just have to, you know, array them. So Q and array them, right? X, array them here, hold shift, and boom, right? They may be a bit too big, so, you know, we could just scale them on individual regions like this, right? And bring them in, so G, X, and boom, right? And then simply duplicate them here, so shift the X, I mean shift the Y, sorry. Hold shift and just align them properly, you know. I mean, more or less in the middle. Select both of them, and then Alt X, make sure you have a modifier on here, and mirror, and Bob Jonkel. Then we will need some kind of probably better solution for these. I still think these are, you know, these could be cut deeper. So, you know, a little bit here like this, just press X for cut and slice them. I think it's gonna be better. There you go. And they could be also hollowed out in a way. And they're not even connected to the freaking ground. Hang on. Let's just run them down here, E, and drop them down. And yeah, we could probably, you know, sort of make this a bit more spacious, do you know what I mean? So I had to record this bit from installing MiraTools because I forgot to move the Blender back to its position. So you weren't able to see for the past, you know, for the last 10 minutes of the video, the right hand side of Blender. So I decided to record it. So a few things may be missing from this track, like for example the bolts, because we just finished the bolts, right? And we moved to this one. So let me show you how would I fix this one, yeah, one more time. So let me just see MiraTools. Yeah, we have it. Perfect. So let's just collapse this a bit so it's not so vulgar. Now, what I want to do is I want to grab this and go to local view. And I'm going to be borrowing this shape here, this one, right? From, in fact, what we could do is borrow this one. Hang on, one more time. Yeah, we could go borrow this one. So borrow this shape here. Shift D and X and then P and selection. And then what we're gonna do is borrow this one as well, okay? So Shift D and X and P and selection. And we're going to combine these. So Control J, go to edit mode, select everything, Alt A, and align them on one plane. And I'm gonna try to create a shape out of this, okay? So let's just hide this for a second. And let's go here, and then let's drop these down, so to the bottom, and this one to this height, and simply combine them, and we don't need this, right? And here we're gonna drop it down to this level, okay? So let's actually we don't need these, right? And we can nuke this one as well, move them here and combine them with F, then select everything and F. Now let's go back. And just, you know, let's just press Alt H, grab these two and go back. Now we're gonna grab this piece and we're going to insert it like this, right? Just don't do it, you know, don't overdo it. Control I and then delete all the faces, select this one and extrude it. You wanna nuke all the modifiers from here, and then you wanna drive it through and simply difference. And once you do that, you can mirror the modifier to the other side, right? And then we can decide whether this is too, you know, too feeble or whatever. But I think it's cool. I think I like that. And we could run some bevels on this, but honestly, I think it's fine. So let's go back and let's nuke this one. And this one is mirrored. Yes. So let's nuke the mirror for a second. We're going to make this a little bit narrower, and we're going to array this. Okay. So let's go to mesh. Let's go to modifiers and array X and move it in here. Now this one is a little bit too wide. So I select this one, ever scroll, and we're gonna recover this cutter, this one, and we're going to scale it. Now you see this one isn't even. We need to fix the origin point here. So Shift S and to Geo. Did it fix it? It did. So now we need to mirror this across, right? Like that. Boom. Now it's mirrored. Perfect. So that's that. Next thing we need to do is we need to fix this this grid here, whatever it's called, grill, because it's going down into the floor. I don't like that. So we're going to recover this cutter. So have a scroll, right? And we're gonna just cut it. So, cube and slasheroonie, okay? Now the issue is that you're gonna slasheroonie this straight. So you need to move it a little bit above this, this surface, right? So, because you again, you don't wanna mess with bevels here. Trust me, you really don't wanna mess with bevels. So make sure you're above the bevel, okay? And you're gonna be peachy. So that's fine. Let's go back. Let's see how we're looking. We're looking pretty good, and these could be a little bit larger, yeah? So have a scroll, right? And we could just make them larger. So GY, move them front, and scale them on Z. And let's make sure that we're looking good here. GZ, and move them down, and I think we're gonna be fine. Something like this. How are we looking? Yeah, we're looking peachy. We're looking peachy. We're looking peachy. Good. These pipes, they make 0 sense, so let's nuke them. Let's grab this one, Shift D, and we're going to go to the, what do I call them? Snapping in Blender, and turn on face snapping and align rotation. Then G, hold control and snap to this face here, and hopefully it's gonna snap. Yes, it did. We could do this in here. Let's recover this on this one. Have a scroll here. Where is this cutter? This one. And let's go to array and just nuke one. So leave 3. Okay, so this one could be actually here on the side somewhere. Somewhere here. Right? Maybe it's going to be cooler. Slightly closer. Right? And one more time. Shift-C. Create a cable. And boom. And then, scale it. There we go. And, play with tension a little bit. And I think we're good. Mirror the pipe, yeah? So, mirror, okay? And how are we looking? We're looking pretty peach, actually. Looking pretty peach. I like that. I like that. I like that. I like that. Cool, 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 cool. Next, what I've done is I took this one and ran some cuts on it. So here, let's go to snap.d and square and select this one, this dome. Hold control. It doesn't work for some reason. Let me just try here. What the hell? Oh, no, this one. Sorry, this one. There we go. That's why it doesn't work. And just so it's on the cut, hold Alt, and that will do. Run it through, hold Shift, to live, and then, bring it down. And you want to move this one up a bit, and then SY and hold Control and snap it. And you want some security loops here because you see shading is going to shed. So let's just, let's just make sure that we have some, we secure the shading a bit here. Maybe one more loop here. Just don't encroach on bevel because again you're gonna have a bad day, right? I think this will do. And this could be a little bit smaller, so not so big, right? So, you know what I mean? Just like this. That's perfect. And then let's move cursor here. So Shift S to select it. Select this one, and we're gonna run the control click on a radial array. Press X, X, and boom, Bob's your uncle, and he's gonna array this around and looks peachy. Yes, and the last thing is the bolts. Now I could borrow bolts from here. I want bolts here, on this part, yeah. So Shift D, right, and let's just nuke the. Let me see this. Let's nuke the array and displace. Move the origin to geo, and then hold control and just, snap it to the face here. We can actually go to local view like this. And G and snap, right? Obviously that's too big, so make it smaller. And in order to align this, what you could do is align yourself to this face, okay? So Q, and so, go to edit mode, select the face here. It's in the middle because remember we solidified both ways, so the face is actually in the middle, right? So select the face, Q, and go to Mesh Tools and Align View. Boom, click. That you perfectly aligned, you see. Grab this screw, or whatever it is, bolt. Pop it in here, and then Shift D. Shift D. We could write this around the, curve like we did before, but honestly, too much work. And if it looks a bit more organic, so, kind of more messed up, it's, I mean, if it's not perfectly aligned, it will look more mechanical, like more, you know, more realistic. Let's just leave this orientation and Alt X and boom, and there you go. And what we could do, we could parent this, you know, so when you move this main feature, which is this one, so Control P and keep transform, right? Now this obviously doesn't have to be so bloody long, so we could, you know, cut this, but honestly, you know, who cares? No one's watching. So anyway, that's it for this video, and we're gonna continue in the next one, alright? So I'll see you in the next video.